Emily's scream tore through the silence, piercing the dimly lit apartment, as Daniel's fury twisted his face. He shouted, "You'll regret this," before slamming the door so hard, the walls shook. Lily clung tightly to Emily's side, burying her small face into her mother's shoulder, trembling as tears streaked Emily's cheeks. The sound of sirens wailed faintly in the distance, echoing the chaos that had just unraveled. Emily whispered, "I will protect you, no matter the cost," though her voice cracked with fear. She could feel the weight of betrayal pressing against her chest like a crushing stone, every heartbeat reminding her of the danger Daniel had become. The apartment, once their safe haven, now felt like a prison where shadows loomed larger than life. A sharp draft slipped through the cracked window, sending shivers through Emily's arms as she tightened her hold on Lily, silently vowing that nothing, not even Daniel's rage, would rip them apart. Emily sat still, her arms wrapped around Lily, listening to the fading echo of the slammed door. She muttered, "He won't take you from me," her voice breaking under the weight of fear. The apartment smelled of spilled wine and damp air, every detail pressing down on her chest. Lily whispered, "Mommy, don't cry," her tiny voice trembling yet somehow steady. Emily kissed her daughter's forehead, drawing strength from the innocence of her words. Her heart thudded heavily, pounding like war drums echoing in her ribs. The sirens grew fainter, but their haunting rhythm reminded her of battles ahead. Her eyes darted toward the cracked doorframe, a symbol of everything broken yet unyielding. She whispered again, steadying herself, "I will fight for us." The silence pressed harder than the shouting had moments ago. Emily wiped her tears quickly, forcing a calm face for Lily. "Everything will be okay," she whispered, though the words scraped against her throat like lies she wished were true. Lily nodded softly, clutching a small stuffed bear, her comfort in storms like this. The dim lamp flickered again, shadows twisting across the walls, reminding Emily of how fragile their world had become. She looked around the room, at the worn furniture, the half-empty shelves, the little signs of a life she had fought to build. Her chest ached as she thought, "It's all for her." Emily stood slowly, brushing her hand across Lily's cheek. Her legs trembled, but she forced strength into her voice. "We'll clean this up tomorrow," she said gently, though her eyes lingered on the spilled glass like it was evidence of war. Lily hugged her bear tightly, following her mother's every move with wide, watchful eyes. Emily pulled the curtain shut, blocking the flashing lights that still painted the window edges in red and blue. She whispered, "No one will hurt us again," a promise she feared she could not keep but needed to believe. The room fell into uneasy stillness, the kind that carried both safety and dread. Emily sank onto the couch, pulling Lily close beside her. She pressed a kiss to her daughter's hair, whispering, "You're safe with me." Lily's small hands curled against Emily's side, eyes fluttering with exhaustion after the chaos. The clock ticked in steady defiance, each second a reminder that their fight was far from over. Emily's gaze fixed on the door, her mind replaying Daniel's fury. Yet in Lily's quiet breathing she found the faintest glimmer of strength. The night had shattered their peace, but Emily knew this was only the beginning. The office felt colder than usual as Emily stepped in, clutching her folder tightly, her mind still heavy from the night before. Mr. Harris glanced up from his desk, his expression sharp and impatient. He said, "You've been late again, Emily. This can't continue." His words cut deeper than intended, and Emily lowered her eyes, whispering, "I'm trying my best." She knew excuses would not save her now. The weight of keeping a roof over Lily's head pressed against her like steel chains. Mr. Harris sighed heavily, tapping his pen as if each sound was a judgment. The clock on the wall ticked louder than ever, reminding her that every second lost meant another blow to her fragile stability. Emily swallowed hard, masking the storm inside. Emily sat at her desk, the hum of printers and clicking keyboards filling the silence around her. She typed slowly, her fingers trembling as she replayed Daniel's threats in her mind. Her heart sank when her phone vibrated with a new message. "You won't keep her from me," Daniel had written. Her breath caught as if the walls themselves had closed in tighter. She pressed her hand to her mouth, fighting to keep her composure as tears threatened to fall. Sarah walked by, pausing to rest a gentle hand on Emily's shoulder. She said softly, "You're not alone, we'll fight this together." Emily forced a small nod, her lips quivering as she whispered, "I don't know how much fight I have left." The break room smelled of burnt coffee, stale and heavy, as Sarah poured 2 cups and set one in front of Emily. She said, "You can't let him control you like this." Emily rubbed her temples, her voice soft. "He knows where to hurt me, Sarah. He knows how fragile this all is." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes steady with determination. "Then we'll make sure he never gets the chance." Emily exhaled shakily, her hands trembling around the cup, warmth seeping into her cold fingers. The fluorescent lights above buzzed faintly, echoing her restless thoughts. She whispered, "What if I lose her?" And Sarah replied, firm as stone, "You won't." Emily's world tilted when Megan, her supposed friend, stood beside Daniel at the courthouse steps later that week. Daniel's smug grin widened as he placed a hand on Megan's shoulder. Emily whispered under her breath, "Nah, not you." Megan avoided her eyes, her silence louder than betrayal. Daniel smirked, his voice sharp as a blade. "You really thought you had allies?" Emily's stomach churned, her knees weakening, but she stood tall, clutching Lily's small hand tightly. Sarah's grip on her arm anchored her from collapsing entirely. Trust had broken like glass, sharp and irreversible. That night, Emily sat on the edge of Lily's bed, brushing strands of hair from her daughter's forehead. Lily whispered, "Mommy, why was Aunt Megan with Daddy?" Emily's chest constricted as she forced a smile. "Sometimes people make choices we don't understand," she said softly. Lily nodded, eyes heavy with sadness and confusion. Emily kissed her temple, whispering, "You're all that matters." As Lily's breathing steadied into sleep, Emily's own eyes brimmed with tears. She refused to let fall. Betrayal clawed at her heart, but in that quiet room, Emily found strength in her vow. No matter the cost, she would not fail her child. Emily walked into the courthouse lobby, her heels clicking against the polished floor, each step weighed down by dread. Daniel stood at the far end, speaking animatedly to Miss Carter, the social worker assigned to the case. His gestures were sharp, his words laced with poison she could only imagine. Emily clutched Lily's hand tighter, forcing calm into her voice. "We'll be fine," she whispered, though her pulse thundered in defiance. Miss Carter turned, her expression unreadable, clipboard tucked against her side like a shield. Emily felt as though every breath was being measured, every movement judged. Daniel caught Emily's eye and smirked, his silent victory echoing louder than words. The waiting room felt suffocating, filled with low murmurs and nervous footsteps. Emily sat stiffly on a chair, her hands gripping Lily's backpack on her lap. "Ow!" Lily leaned against her side, whispering, "Mommy, is he going to take me away?" Emily blinked quickly, hiding tears before they fell, whispering back, "No one will take you from me." Across the room, Daniel leaned back with a smug ease, flipping through papers, as though this battle was already won. Miss Carter scribbled notes, her sharp eyes glancing up occasionally, dissecting every detail. Emily swallowed hard, a storm raging behind her calm face. Emily sat across from Miss Carter in a cramped interview room, the fluorescent hum above drilling into her nerves. Miss Carter said, "Your stability is under review. I need to know you can provide for Lily." Emily straightened, her voice trembling but firm. "I work every day. I sacrifice everything for her." Miss Carter's pen scratched across the page, each note feeling like a verdict. Daniel's words from earlier echoed in Emily's mind. She can't handle it alone. Emily clasped her hands tightly in her lap, steadying herself. She whispered under her breath, "I will not fail her." Later that evening, Emily walked down a dim street, her mind unraveling as Daniel's shadow followed close behind. His voice cut through the night, sharp and threatening. "You'll lose everything, Emily. No one will believe you." She stopped, turning slowly, her voice low but steady. "I won't let you hurt her." Daniel's grin widened, a predator circling prey. The streetlight flickered above, throwing jagged shadows across cracked pavement. Emily tightened her grip on her bag, her heart racing with fear, but fueled by defiance. Back in the apartment, Emily locked the door, her body trembling as she pressed her forehead against the wood. Lily peeked out from her bedroom, holding her stuffed bear. "Mommy," she whispered, her voice fragile. Emily straightened quickly, forcing calm into her tone. "Go back to bed, sweetheart. Everything's fine." She watched Lily slip back into her room, innocence shielding her from the storm outside. Emily's breath shuddered, her fists clenched tight. In that fragile silence, she realized Daniel's cruelty had no limits. But neither did her determination. Emily opened the apartment door to find Michael standing in the dim hallway, his face older and heavier with regret than she remembered. Her breath caught as memories surged like ghosts from the past. "You shouldn't be here," she said sharply, her voice trembling with disbelief. Michael lowered his eyes, his voice low. "I've been watching from a distance, waiting for the right time." Lily peeked from behind her mother, curious but wary. Emily's chest tightened, torn between slamming the door and collapsing from the weight of unresolved history. The silence stretched like a wound torn open, bleeding with unfinished truths. They sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the silence louder than words. Michael traced the rim of his cup with nervous fingers before saying, "I should have come sooner." Emily's voice cracked as she replied, "You abandoned us when we needed you most." His jaw clenched, guilt carving lines into his face. Lily sat quietly in the next room, humming softly to her toy, unaware of the storm unraveling. Emily's chest burned with questions she had buried for years, but she forced herself to hold his gaze. "Why now?" she whispered, desperate for answers. Michael leaned closer, his voice breaking. "I stayed away because I thought I would ruin everything for you." Emily slammed her hand on the table, tears welling. "You ruined it by leaving," she snapped, the words echoing with years of buried pain. His shoulders sagged, as if carrying the weight of every wrong choice. Lily peeked in, her small voice cutting through the tension. "Mommy, is he family?" Emily froze, her throat tightening as she struggled to form an answer. Michael's eyes filled with regret, and for the first time, Emily saw the truth in his silence. Emily stood by the window, arms folded, staring at the city lights while Michael's voice filled the room. "Daniel is dangerous, and I can help you fight him." She turned sharply, anger and suspicion lacing her words. "Why should I trust you now?" Michael stepped closer, shadows stretching between them. "Because you can't do this alone," he said firmly. Emily's heart thudded painfully, her instincts warning her, but the truth of his words pressed hard. Behind them, Lily's quiet breathing carried from her room, a reminder of what was at stake. Emily tucked Lily into bed, brushing hair from her forehead gently. Lily whispered, "Is he really family?" Emily kissed her cheek, forcing a steady smile. "Yes, but it's complicated." Once Lily drifted to sleep, Emily stepped quietly into the hallway where Michael waited. Their eyes met, heavy with unspoken truths. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she said softly, her voice breaking. Michael nodded, accepting her pain. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he replied. "I'm asking for a chance to help." Emily's chest ached, torn between mistrust and the desperate need for strength. Emily paced the apartment living room, her mind spinning in circles. Michael's offer hung heavy, a weight she couldn't shake. Sarah sat on the couch, her voice steady but concerned. "You don't have to do this alone, but you have to know if he's truly on your side." Emily stopped mid-step, rubbing her temples as doubt tore at her chest. "How do I trust someone who walked away when I needed him most?" she said softly. Sarah leaned forward, her tone sharp with honesty. "Because right now you're drowning, and sometimes even broken hands can pull you up." Emily closed her eyes, torn between anger and desperate need. Emily sat at the edge of her bed, the room cloaked in quiet. Michael stood near the door, his hands shoved into his jacket pockets, his posture heavy with guilt. "You have every reason not to trust me," he said. "But Daniel won't stop until he breaks you. Let me help." Emily's heart pounded, her voice soft yet bitter. Do you know what it feels like to beg for help and be left in the dark? His silence answered her louder than words. Lily stirred in her sleep down the hall, her faint voice carrying, "Mommy." Emily pressed her hand to her chest, broken between the past and the present. The next day, Emily met David at the park, his presence a quiet relief she hadn't expected. He smiled softly, offering her a coffee as they sat on a bench overlooking the playground. "You look like you haven't slept in days," he said gently. Emily forced a small laugh, though her eyes betrayed exhaustion. "Life doesn't pause for battles," she murmured. David leaned closer, his voice low. "Sometimes, it's okay to let someone carry part of the weight." Emily studied him, her chest tightening at the thought of opening her heart again. "I don't know if I can," she admitted. His eyes held patience, not pressure. Emily walked home with David, their conversation quiet but steady. He said, "You don't have to answer everything now. Just let me be here." She nodded, though her guard stayed firm, her mind haunted by Michael's sudden reappearance. As they reached the apartment, Lily ran into her arms, her laughter a fragile reminder of innocence. Emily kissed her daughter's forehead, whispering, "You're my reason for everything." David stood nearby, watching the scene with quiet respect, his expression softened by admiration. For a moment, Emily felt the edges of her world ease, though the storm loomed ever closer. That night, Emily tucked Lily into bed, the weight of choices pressing heavier than ever. Lily whispered, "Mommy, are we going to be okay?" Emily's throat tightened, but she smiled softly, brushing her daughter's hair. "We will, I promise." Once Lily drifted into sleep, Emily sat in the hallway floor, her back against the wall. Her mind whirled between Michael's plea, David's warmth, and Sarah's loyalty. The walls felt like they were closing in, but then Lily's steady breathing reminded her of the only truth that mattered. She clenched her fists, whispering to herself, "I'll keep fighting." The courtroom buzzed with murmurs as Emily entered, her hands shaking, but her chin held high. Lily sat with Sarah in the back, clutching her stuffed bear. Daniel adjusted his suit, flashing Emily a smug grin that made her stomach twist. The judge entered, silencing the room with authority. Emily sat at the plaintiff's table, her pulse hammering. Her lawyer whispered, "Stay steady. Speak only your truth." Emily nodded, forcing air into her lungs. Across the room, Daniel leaned close to his attorney, whispering with a smirk. Emily whispered under her breath, "I won't let him win." Daniel's lawyer rose first, his voice slick with false confidence. "Your Honor, Emily has proven unstable, unable to provide for Lily." Emily's fists clenched under the table, nails biting into her palms. Daniel smirked, his gaze heavy with triumph. Emily's lawyer rose in defense. "She has sacrificed everything for her child, working tirelessly to give Lily a safe home." Emily's throat tightened, but she forced her eyes to meet the judge, holding steady. Daniel whispered something under his breath, his smile widening. Emily gritted her teeth, whispering, "Not this time." Michael stepped into the witness box, his presence unexpected. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Emily's breath caught as his eyes met hers. "Oh," he said firmly. "I know Emily's sacrifices. I've seen her strength. She's the reason Lily has hope." Daniel's face twisted in anger, his lawyer rising to object, but the judge silenced him. Michael's voice cracked with sincerity. "I was absent, but I will not stay silent while Daniel destroys her." Emily's heart swelled with both pain and relief. Daniel muttered curses under his breath, his composure slipping for the first time. Daniel took the stand next, his words dripping with lies. "She's unstable. She hides secrets. She's not fit to raise Lily." Emily's lawyer stood, voice steady. "Do you deny threatening her repeatedly?" Daniel's jaw tightened, his eyes flicking nervously. The lawyer presented messages, each word a dagger to Daniel's credibility. Emily's chest burned as she watched his facade crumble. Sarah squeezed Lily's hand in the gallery, whispering, "It's almost over." Daniel stammered, "She's twisting everything." The courtroom buzzed, the tide shifting. Emily exhaled slowly, for the first time feeling the cracks in his armor. The judge's gavel struck, silencing the chaos. His voice carried weight as he said, "Custody will remain with Emily. Daniel's conduct has made it clear where Lily's safety lies." Tears streamed down Emily's face, her body trembling with release. She turned to see Sarah hugging Lily tightly, both smiling through tears. Michael bowed his head, relief etched across his face. Daniel erupted, his voice sharp. "This isn't over." But bailiffs held him back. Emily whispered to herself, "It's over for me and Lily. We're free." The courtroom blurred as relief finally overcame her. Emily unlocked the apartment door with trembling hands, stepping inside with Lily close at her side. The silence felt different now, no longer heavy with fear, but fragile with relief. Sarah followed behind, carrying Lily's small backpack, her smile soft with pride. Emily exhaled shakily, whispering, "We're home." Lily darted ahead, her laughter light, echoing through the walls that once felt suffocating. Emily's chest tightened, tears brimming as she realized the fight was over. For the first time in years, she felt the weight of freedom pressing against her shoulders instead of fear. Later that night, Emily sat on the couch with Sarah, both sipping tea in silence. Sarah finally said, "You did it. You stood taller than your fear." Emily shook her head, her voice raw. "I didn't win alone. I had you, and Lily, and even Michael." Sarah's eyes softened, and she reached out to hold her friend's hand. "That's what strength is, Emily, letting people in when you need them." Emily smiled faintly, her heart aching but healing, the first stitches of hope threading into her chest. Emily stepped into Lily's room, pausing to watch her daughter arrange her toys carefully. Lily looked up with a small smile, whispering, "Mommy, we're safe now, right?" Emily knelt beside her, brushing a strand of blonde hair from her forehead. "Yes, sweetheart," she said, her voice steady, "we're safe." Lily hugged her tightly, her arms small but fierce around her mother's neck. Emily closed her eyes, letting the warmth of her child's love wash away the cold shadows of the past. Emily stood at the window, the city lights flickering against the glass, reflecting both the chaos of the world outside and the fragile calm within. Michael's voice echoed in her memory, his promise to help. Though her heart still held scars, she no longer felt alone. David's kind smile also lingered in her thoughts, a reminder that hope could grow in unexpected places. She whispered to herself, "We survived. We're stronger now." Her reflection stared back, not broken, but rebuilt. The apartment was quiet, only the soft rhythm of Lily's breathing filling the air. Emily sat beside her daughter's bed, her hand resting on the doorframe, a silent vow etched in the gesture. She whispered, "We'll be okay. I promise." Lily stirred slightly, a faint smile on her lips as she dreamed peacefully. Emily leaned closer, kissing her forehead. Then she sat back, a real smile breaking across her face, the first in years not built on pretense. She whispered one last time, a vow to herself and to her child, "We'll never stop fighting."